I'm not going to move to another country unless they respect gun rights. Otherwise, I'm going to stay in the collapsing USA and go down with the ship. That's an argument I am hearing from more and more people. And in this video, I'm going to respond to that argument right now. And that's basically the argument is that, well, I am a right-winger and I'm a conservative and I believe in gun rights. And if I can't bring my Glock to Tokyo, Japan, well then fuck Japan. I'm gonna stay in the collapsing USA. I ain't going to no Dubai or Paraguay if I can't bring my AR. All right, so let's discuss this topic. As many of you know, there are both left-wingers and right-wingers, and in terms of gun control and guns, at least in the United States, it basically breaks down like this. First, you have the left-wingers who go, I'm scared of guns, oh no. Have you ever pulled out a gun in a room full of left-wingers and they go, ah! Even the men, ah, put it away, put it away. Well, left-wingers are a bunch of pussies and babies that are terrified of guns. Now, yes, I know I'm gonna get a comment, well, I'm a left-wing Democrat, I own a gun, that's not true. The exception proves the rule, thank you very much, you are an outlier. So those are the left-wingers. Then you've got the right-wingers who are all about, well, you see what happens. You see what happens. The government comes to my house and take my AR. You see what happens. You see what happens. You see what happens. They are maniacal about guns to the point where it makes no sense. Matter of fact, the irony of the gun-toting right-wingers is that the ones who need the guns the least are the ones who are way out in the countryside where you'll never have any civil unrest, you won't have any crime, and those are the guys with all the guns. Where you need the guns is if you live downtown Chicago, but no one does that because people who live in downtown Chicago are all left-wingers who are all scared of guns. So left versus right, as usual, you got the insane versus the stupid. All right, now where do I fall in this? If you know my content, you know I am a minarchist libertarian. I am against all gun laws. All of them. I am more pro-gun than you Trump supporters and Republicans and conservatives, because if you look at the polls, and I've linked to them on my blogs, most Republicans, not Democrats, not left-wingers, most Republicans are for more common sense gun laws. I am not. I don't think there should be any gun restrictions at all at the federal level and the state level. If individual cities want to enact their own individual ordinances regarding owning guns, that's fine, that's up to the individual cities. But beyond that, I don't think you should have any gun laws. Well, then Caleb, you should agree with us that you shouldn't move to any country unless they respect gun rights. Wrong. This is the problem with Americans. Americans think, and all of them have this problem, both left and right, all of them seem to think that the entire world is just like America. And all the same problems that America has, every other country in the world must also have, because America must equal the entire planet. Wrong. This view of I need to have a gun in order to move to another country because I need a gun in the United States, which you do, I'll cover that in a second, is entirely incorrect because it is American-centric. You Americans have to understand that America is not equal to the rest of the world. The rest of the world is very different than America, and when you move out of the United States, your needs change, and many of the requirements change, and I will talk specifically about whether or not you need a gun. Now, do you need to own a gun if you live in the collapsing USA? Yes, I have said that many times. I've been saying that for 15 plus years at my blogs. Yes, if you live in the United States, one of the most violent cultures in the history of the world, Americans, and a place where there is growing civil unrest every year, which I told you many years ago would happen, and I was right. Yes, crime rates are going to rise, civil unrest is going to rise. America is a violent, violent place as compared to most of the rest of the world for many reasons we could get into, but are outside the scope of this video. Yes, if you live in the United States, you need to own a gun. This is where I'm 100% on the side of the right. Absolutely. I won't tell you whether or not I own guns. When I was in the United States, I admit to nothing. But yes, if you live in the United States, you need a gun. Now let's talk about why you need that gun. This is where right-wingers are wrong and insane. You do not need a gun to protect your house, against someone coming in the middle of the night and sexually molesting your daughter. That is 2% rule bullshit. If you don't know what the 2% rule is, please watch that video where I describe exactly what the 2% rule is. And the summary of that is that if something is less than a 2% chance of happening, you don't worry about it and you proceed. What are the odds that someone's going to sneak into your house and molest your dog? Or steal your stuff in the middle of the night? In most places in the United States, there are a few strange jurisdictions where that may happen, but the odds are very, very low. So that is not why you need a gun to defend yourself against crime. The reason you do need a gun in the United States is civil unrest. I said several years ago, and I was right, that civil unrest is going to grow in the United States, in all sectors of the United States, especially the cities, and it's going to get worse every year until the collapse of the United States finally occurs in our lifetimes. And I said, and I was right, that if you're going to decide to live in the collapsing USA for the rest of your life, then you're going to have to just get used to the fact that you're going to have more and more civil unrest. It's just going to be a part of American life now. So for that reason, yes, you need to own a gun, because we know from historical fact, when you have instances of civil unrest, like the Rodney King riots, like the looting that took place during Hurricane Katrina, the guys who had big guns, who sat outside of their houses or places of business, were completely spared. No one robbed them. No one burned down their homes. They were completely fine. Matter of fact, in those types of scenarios, they literally would have buildings burned down, a building burned down, a building burned down, a perfectly fine building, and a building burned down, and a building burned down. Why is that? Because the guy who owned the building that didn't burn down took his big shotgun and just sat on his porch and went chuck, and just sat there, and all these looters and rioters, who are left-wingers, because that's most of the United States, that includes Republicans, go, oh no, he has a gun, we're scared, run away. So yes, it is very useful in a case of civil unrest. That's why you need a gun, to protect your property in cases of civil unrest, which are going to get worse and worse and worse in the United States as time goes on. Now, let me tell you why that doesn't matter if you move outside of the West. And before I do that, if you like this content, I do several videos here a week on how to create your own location-independent business, move to a less bad country, or at least set up an international backup plan and do all these things for very little money. So if you like that kind of stuff, you should subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell, leave a comment on this video, and put a like on this video. That way you're sure to get this content for free in the future. Now, just because you need a gun for these reasons in the United States, does that mean you need it everywhere in the world? No. If you move to Japan, for example, where there is virtually no gun crime, it's almost unheard of in that culture, because that's just not how the culture works over there, you don't need a gun. If you're an American and you move to Tokyo, you don't need a gun. Literally, you don't need one, because you won't need it. I'm serious about this, and I've talked about this in my blogs before. If you conducted a social experiment where you took a bunch of loaded AK-47s and dumped them on the street, on a sidewalk in downtown Tokyo, the people walking by would go, oh, I don't want one of those. They just walk right past it. Now, if you did that in downtown New York City, various other cities in the United States, you'd have blood in the streets. There'd be mass chaos. People would grab those guns and shooting everything up, because Americans are not like the Japanese. The cultures are different. So for you to say, I need to have my gun if I move to Tokyo, you're a moron. No, you don't. You need the gun in the United States. Yes, you don't need it in Tokyo. I live here in Dubai. Can I own a real gun here in Dubai? Not really. You can get air guns here, but that's about it. Do I care? No. Dubai is literally the first or second safest city in the entire world. And if you don't believe me, go look it up. Am I worried about civil unrest in Dubai? No. 91% of people who live in Dubai are from other countries who really want to be here. Why would they riot? They're not like crazy Americans who think Trump will fix everything, or we need to have more socialism, and they all hate each other. It's a very different scenario. So there are numerous places you can move to where crime and or civil unrest are not issues. Therefore, if they have laws against owning a gun, it's not relevant and it doesn't matter. The concept that you would feel unsafe here in Dubai or Tokyo or numerous other countries I can name because you didn't have a pistol under your bed is just stupid and irrational. It's not even 2% rule. It's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a 1% rule. Just because you need something in the United States does not mean you need all the same things in other countries. Now, the reverse is also true. There are certain needs I have here in Dubai that I didn't need in the United States. Here's a real easy example. In the United States, where I used to live in the Portland, Seattle area, we had really good water. The water quality was great. Here in Dubai, water quality is not all that great. So what I had to do here in my house here in Dubai is I had to purchase a water filtration system outside the house. So all the water that gets pumped in is filtered through 2 different filters. Then the drinking water in the kitchen has an entire filter set of reverse osmosis conversion to make that water 100% perfect. Oh, I also just added a water softener to the outside filter of that house. Now, would I have to go through all that trouble living out in the wilderness between Portland and Seattle? No. I wouldn't have to. But again, if I moved back to Portland, which I will never do, are you fucking kidding? Kill me. But if I moved back to Portland or Seattle, would I say, I need to have all these water filtration systems in my house because the water is horrible here? No, it's horrible in Dubai. It's not horrible back there. You've got to get it in your head that not all countries are the same. I agree with you about the need to own a gun. And like I said, I am more pro-gun than any of you Trump supporter right-wingers because I'm for the abolition of all federal and state gun laws. This is not a political issue. This is a logistics issue. You don't need to have a gun in certain countries. Therefore, if the country you're moving to has much less crime than the United States and or much less propensity for civil unrest than the United States, their gun control laws are not relevant to you. On that topic, what you should do is watch this video right here on 11 cool countries I recommend you move to, and I'll see you in that video.